right, thank you for joining. Today we'll go over XRP, USDT on the Binance chart. And yeah, what can we say here? Still looking a little bearish. We have changed the market structure on XRP. As you can see, lower low, higher low, broke over this swing high. And now we are coming back down to see if we're going to hold this level before continuing higher. Or are we just going to fail to hold that level, back test it as resistance, right? Before continuing down towards 60 cents. My final target is still 60 cents. I believe that's where XRP will go. When will it get there? Not 100% sure, but I do believe that it will get there within the next year. At first, once we had this impulse up on a Saturday on the 14th, I thought things were looking pretty good. The next day, price increased even more. But then at the end of the day, we have a super bearish reverse hammer candle. And since then, we've just had lower lows following every day after, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Now, as we can see, with XRP here, the good news is about today is that we are opening up and we're moving down first. So we might be moving down to create a bottom wick, similar to what happened here, before price continues to the upside. But based on just trading on the discounts or premium markets, you can see here that there's still some room to come to the downside. I would actually expect it to come down, sweep yesterday's lows, reclaim that level, and then potentially break out and aim for last week's highs, right? So something like this. Let's go to the 4-hour. Right, because this is the current range we're trading in, right? I just want to keep things very simple. This is the range we're trading in at the moment, the lows and the highs of the range. Once you're below the 50%, the halfway mark of the range, you're trading in a discount, and that's where you typically want to look for longs, right? So keep it in mind that that is the overall range. Then the next target would most likely be $1.42, sweeping those lows after this rejection, reclaiming that low, like I said before, essentially coming back up to $1.67, right? Because at the end of the day, with XRP, even though it is looking bearish and I am expecting lower prices, we cannot forget that there's still some very crucial support at these levels. We had a very big bullish 4-hour hammer candle. We're selling off a little bit onto that candle, but that's just showing you that buyers are in this area. Right here is clear support and resistance. We also have a 4-hour bullish order block here. So I would definitely be expecting just to get some sort of reaction off of these lows right here to target a breakout of this trend line. Now, if we do fail these lows, then I would not really be interested in another long until, you name it, till these lows are taken out as well, right? Now, once these lows are taken out, same trade idea. Wait for price to reclaim the lows, and then we would aim for last week's highs, or at least once again, last month's lows, right? That seems to be just the best way to think about that trade. Overall, still bearish on XRP, but after this massive, downtrend, I am expecting to get some sort of relief here, right? I mean, Bitcoin has been selling off pretty badly over the past few days, but Bitcoin, in my opinion, you know, it is still looking very bearish. I mean, Bitcoin at this point, we're going to see if we get a reaction at this daily level here, which lines up with the halfway mark of this overall range, right? If not, then the next areas to really look would be, in my opinion, I would like to look, you know, there's a couple of interesting areas. I mean, for Bitcoin, right here is not too bad, right? Here would be better because you have this liquidity down here. And then if we want to hold these lows, okay, hold on here. Not sure what's going on here. If we want to hold this higher low, right? If we want price to hold this higher low, then it would make a lot more sense for price to definitely try to hold onto this low right there. So the two best areas I'm actually interested in would be for Bitcoin, 65,000 and 63,000 to look for a long. Right, and then we just have to see what Bitcoin does at these levels, because if Bitcoin starts to look bullish at these levels, then we can then go ahead and look back at XRP, right, which will then, in my opinion, bring XRP down to something like that. Could be a nice long trade right at these lows, or the next best area would be right at these lows, which should also line up just like Bitcoin at the 7.5, yep, and the 618. So XRP, next area I'm interested in a long, to potentially take a long trade based on the price action, would for sure be 133 area. I'm actually curious to see if there's a daily level at those lows. So there is a daily, the lowest candle close so far before this minor impulse to the upside. So we can mark that daily level there. Then go back down to the lower time frame to see how things will look visually. And then with that being said, I still like this level, but it doesn't really do justice as much. All right, still a good level, but I am liking down here a lot more because we still keep this higher low idea playing out. Down here, there's not really any confluence. Here we have a last week's low, a 1 hour order block, 618. So here is extremely important for XRP. I actually really like XRP at $1.36, right? So just to go over this one more time, with a daily level for XRP coming in at 136, along with a previous week's low, 618, and a 1 hour order block right at around 135. That would be my perfect area to enter a long trade, because there's a lot of confluence down here, a lot of support. If we start to get a nice reaction, similar to how I drew these lines, if we get price to react this way at these levels, I would love to take a long trade right at that 133, 134 area, to then take it through this trend line and attack the previous week's high. That just seems like the best way to trade XRP at this moment. Still keeping a bullish structure before, eventually, taking out these highs. And like I always say, I am expecting lower prices, so I would not be surprised if we take out those highs and then we just start to come back down, all the way back down, eventually making our way to 60 cents. All right, so we're going to see what happens here with XRP. I have my levels marked out. Let me go ahead and adjust some of these dailies here, because I have not turned on some of these high time frame levels in a very, very long time, actually. And come to think of it, it might be easier for me to just delete it this way. But look at this, the lowest daily close. Look how much it's been respected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before it being lost. It's probably the same thing what happens over here too as well. Yeah, so this level, some reaction, nothing too crazy. I actually don't like it too much. But yeah. And then as for the weekly, have a weekly open right there. And put the weekly right there. Then we go back down to the 1 hour and see how everything is lining up. Get rid of this. Actually, I'll just do this. There we go. A lot cleaner. Don't really care for these lows. Gonna go ahead and delete that. This is the area I am most interested in taking a long trade. Yeah. A lot of confluence at that level. Just gonna leave that there like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it with XRP. We're gonna see how everything plays out here in next upcoming days. Not interested in a long right now. If you want to do something a little bit more intraday, then you have a little bit of a range which formed right here, right? Just gotta trade the range until it breaks. And at the moment, this is the current range where you then look to, you can look to go short at the highs, not financial advice, or long at the lows until one of these break. And you just continue to hold on to that position if you're in it. Or I would continue to hold on to that position. But realistically, this right here is just all people need to know to trade, right? You mark the lows, most recent lows. You also mark the most recent highs. Pull it across. And yeah, once price goes below the lows as a swing failure pattern, I would then look to go long, stop loss below the low, and try to aim for the opposite side of the range, right? So pretty much go long right there. Not the best stop loss, but 2% is not bad. Aim for the opposite side, so it's still a 2-to-1 trade. So actually a pretty good trade. It's a pretty good range right here. And then since you had this impulse to the upside, you could then go ahead and grab your fibs and see if we're going to get a retracement into the 618. It looks like it's kind of hitting that golden, well, the 50% right now, very close to it. The first drop tested the 50%. The second one could come down to the 618, maybe the 0.75, which is still within that range, and then aim for the upside. So very interesting price action happening on XRP right here. Okay, so try to keep that in mind. Yeah, I do like this. I'm actually going to keep this one here. The white box is nice. Let's see something here. Looks like I have one already. Okay. Eh. And that is that. I like it empty, to be honest. All right, well, that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining, and remember to like and subscribe. Take care.